Welcome to Mind Decoded, where we explore the psychology behind human behavior. Let's decode today's topic. Your brain makes you spend money you don't have. And it's not because you're lazy or undisciplined. It's because your prefrontal cortex loses a fight with your limbic system every single time you see something you want. The part of your brain responsible for long-term planning is physically weaker than the part that craves immediate reward. This isn't a character flaw. This is neuroscience. Here's what nobody tells you about financial behavior. People with high money IQ don't have more willpower than you. They don't have stronger discipline. They have different brain activation patterns when they encounter spending decisions. Neuroscientist Brian Knutson at Stanford put people in an fMRI scanner and showed them products they could buy. The people who consistently made good financial decisions showed less activity in the nucleus accumbens when viewing desirable products. Their brains literally felt less reward anticipation from spending. The people who made poor financial decisions had nucleus accumbens that lit up like fireworks. Same product, different brain response. Your financial behavior isn't about discipline. It's about dopamine. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical, psychological, or mental health advice. If you're experiencing mental health concerns, please consult with a qualified mental health professional. Let's start with why your brain is terrible at saving money. Your brain evolved over millions of years in environments where the future was uncertain and resources were scarce. If you found food, you ate it immediately. Saving food for next week made no sense because you might be dead next week. Or someone might steal it. Or it might rot. Immediate consumption was the optimal survival strategy. Your brain developed powerful neural circuits that rewarded immediate gratification and heavily discounted future rewards. This is called temporal discounting or delay discounting. Your brain assigns less value to rewards that come later. $100 today feels more valuable than $100 next year, even though rationally they're the same amount. Economist Samuel McClure and colleagues at Princeton studied this with fMRI. When people chose immediate rewards, their limbic system and ventral striatum showed strong activation. These are ancient brain regions associated with emotion and basic drives. When people chose delayed rewards, their prefrontal cortex activated. This is the newer brain region responsible for rational planning and self-control. Here's the problem. The limbic system is faster and stronger. The prefrontal cortex is slower and weaker. When you see something you want to buy, your nucleus accumbens floods with dopamine within milliseconds. Anticipation, desire, want. This happens before your prefrontal cortex even processes the price. By the time your rational brain tries to evaluate whether this purchase aligns with your long-term financial goals, your emotional brain has already decided you're buying it. The prefrontal cortex is fighting from behind. Now let's talk about why spending money feels so good. When you make a purchase, your brain releases dopamine. Not when you use the item. When you buy it. Neuroscientist Brian Knutson found that the peak dopamine response happens during purchase anticipation and completion, not during actual product use. This is why you feel excited buying something online, then feel nothing when it arrives 3 days later. The dopamine hit came from clicking buy, not from owning the thing. This creates a cycle. Your brain learns that spending equals dopamine. So when you feel bad, stressed, or bored, your brain suggests spending as a solution. You're not buying the product. You're buying the dopamine. This is why retail therapy exists. Shopping temporarily makes you feel better because it triggers dopamine release. But the effect fades quickly, often within minutes, and then you're left with less money and the same emotional problem you started with. Here's what makes this worse. Your brain is especially bad at delayed gratification when you're stressed or tired. Psychologist Roy Baumeister's research on ego depletion shows that self-control is a limited resource. When your prefrontal cortex is exhausted from a long day of decisions, it has less capacity to override your limbic system. This is why you make worse financial decisions at the end of the day. Your prefrontal cortex is tired. Your limbic system never gets tired. It's 11 p.m., you're exhausted, you're scrolling your phone, you see an ad for something you want, and your depleted prefrontal cortex can't mount a defense. Purchase made. Payment method matters more than you think. Neuroscientist Drazen Prelik at MIT studied the pain of paying. When you pay with cash, your brain's insula activates. The insula processes pain and negative emotions. Handing over physical money creates psychological pain that counteracts the pleasure of buying. This pain acts as a natural brake on spending. When you pay with a credit card, the insula activation is dramatically reduced. Swiping a card doesn't feel like losing money. Your brain processes it as an abstract future obligation, not a present loss. The pain of paying is delayed until the credit card bill arrives, but by then the purchase decision is long over. Brian Knutson's research found that credit card users show less prefrontal cortex activation during purchase decisions than cash users. Your rational brain is less engaged when the payment is abstract. This is why credit card companies exist. They've engineered a payment system that deliberately reduces the psychological pain that would normally prevent overspending. Your brain is less likely to say no when it doesn't feel like you're losing anything. Now here's what people with high money IQ actually do differently. Neuroscientist Paul Glimcher studied the brains of people who consistently make good financial decisions. He found they have stronger connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the ventral striatum. These brain regions communicate better. When their limbic system signals want, their prefrontal cortex can modulate that signal more effectively. This doesn't mean they want things less. It means their rational brain has more influence over the final decision. But here's what's important. This connectivity isn't fixed. It's trainable. Studies using fMRI neurofeedback show you can strengthen the connection between your prefrontal cortex and limbic system through repeated practice. Every time you successfully delay gratification, you're reinforcing the neural pathway that makes the next delay easier. Every time you choose saving over spending, you're training your prefrontal cortex to win more fights against your nucleus accumbens. The most effective strategy is removing decisions entirely. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler's research on mental accounting shows that people are much better at saving when the decision is automated. If money is automatically transferred to savings before you see it, your brain never has to fight the temptation. The limbic system can't spend money it doesn't know exists. This is why automatic retirement contributions work better than manual ones. You're not relying on willpower. You're designing around your neuroscience. Present bias is killing your financial future. Economist George Lowenstein studied how people value present versus future rewards. When the choice is between $100 today or $110 in a month, most people take the $100 today. But when the choice is between $100 in a year or $110 in a year and 1 month, most people choose the $110. Same delay, same $10 difference, different choice. Why? Because both rewards are in the future. Your limbic system isn't activated by either one. Your prefrontal cortex can think rationally about which is better. But when one reward is immediate, your limbic system hijacks the decision. This is why you struggle to save for retirement but have no problem choosing a better retirement plan for your future self 10 years from now. When all the choices are far in the future, your rational brain is in control. When one choice is right now, your emotional brain takes over. Social comparison is destroying your bank account. Neuroscientist Jamil Zaki at Stanford found that the brain's reward centers activate more strongly when you outperform others than when you succeed in isolation. Buying something that signals higher status triggers dopamine not just from the purchase itself, but from the anticipated social comparison. Your brain isn't evaluating whether you can afford the new phone. It's evaluating whether having it will make you feel superior to people who don't have it. This is why keeping up with friends or neighbors drives so much spending. Your nucleus accumbens is responding to relative status, not absolute need. Here's the practical framework. You cannot win by fighting your brain's fundamental wiring. You win by working with it. Stop trying to use willpower to override limbic system responses. Start engineering your environment so your limbic system doesn't get triggered in the first place. Delete shopping apps. Unsubscribe from marketing emails. Use cash for discretionary purchases. Automate savings before money hits your checking account. These aren't discipline strategies. They're neuroscience strategies. You're removing the cues that activate your nucleus accumbens before the fight even starts. Understanding that your financial behavior is driven by dopamine circuits, temporal discounting, and prefrontal cortex depletion doesn't excuse bad decisions. But it does explain them accurately. And accurate explanation enables effective intervention. You're not bad with money because you're weak. You're bad with money because your brain is running software designed for a world that no longer exists. Once you understand the neuroscience, you can finally design around it. And that's how the mind works. If this helped you understand yourself better, subscribe for weekly psychology insights. Thanks for watching.